front of principals from one school, but you're standing in principals from 100 plus cities and 100 plus principals who are in front of us. How
Damn, it wasn't me.
How does it feel to go back to school?
I think we should really ask this question first to Alia, because it's more recent in her memory. My school memories date back 36 years. So Alia, how does it feel to go back to school? She's a proud Jamna by...
Yeah, I'm a Jamna by eye. But to me, like, my school time was the best memories I made. I have sometimes like vivid dreams about, hanging out with my friends by the water cooler and PT class and bunking class and all this stuff. And I actually, my grain of being an actor started from there. I did all that theatre and participated in all possible competitions. It feels great to be back to school. I always get nervous in front of principals, so I will always say good morning ma'am, good morning sir, and try and just stay out of the way because actually I'm very naughty at heart.
And what about Ranveer?
All you naughty kids, if you're naughty, it's okay. You might turn out all right.
You were also naughty, I feel.
You think?
Yeah.
I was a terror.
Actually, you were telling us something very important right now in the green room. Why don't we share that with everyone?
Yeah, I used to participate in Model United Nations. I was a very accomplished delegate. Multiple time best delegate winner. Ranveer Singh.
Wow. And Karan, I'm going to ask you this. You've been a principal to generations of Bollywood stars, whether it's Alia, whether it's Ranveer, whether it's anybody else. Therefore, I'm not going to start with you right now. And I'm going to first ask this to Ranveer and Alia. How is Karan Johar as the principal of a movie? Is he like the strict Amitabh Bachchan from Mohabbat? Or is he like the dramatic Miss Braganza from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai? Who is Karan Johar as the principal of a movie?
आप बताएं, what do you think? Is he Prerna Pratishtha Ranushasana? Or is he Miss Braganza? Aha!
Okay, I think Karan is Karan. There's no one like Karan. We need to make a new character for him. Huh?
Yes, sir. I think Karan is no school principal. Karan is a student of life, art and creativity.
Now they put Karan on a pedestal which is compared to nobody else, but you deserve it. Karan, therefore my question to you is,
I'll tell you why I say that. It's because here's one man, if I know one, who wears his stature very, very lightly. He's one of the most eminent and prominent figures in the history of Indian entertainment. His contribution cannot be emphasized enough, and he's still going. He's just getting started. But he's so cool and casual about it, He never imposes his stature upon you. He always speaks to you like an equal. He has respect for everybody. He treats everybody the same, and he is one of the most remarkable individuals that I've had the good fortune of knowing and collaborating with.
how lovely. Huge round of applause for Karan Johar. I have many a story about the same thing where he's essentially a person who is approachable, and when you meet him at that juncture, of course, when you see him, you know it's Karan Johar. But if he were just to simply talk to you, you would say that, this is another person who believes in young India and therefore is able to make movies that young India loves. So thank you, Karan, for doing what you do. But let me come to this. Many say that cinema is a reflection of society, but I personally think that society is also a reflection of cinema. And it influences young impressionable minds. Today, with the advent of OTT, it is allowed for creative freedom, but many people feel that it's redefining the cultural fabric of our country. What are your thoughts about this? And put Rocky and Rani in context, your new film in context of this?
What a loaded question to begin with. And it's critical to answer this from the most honest space possible. So firstly, I do believe that cinema is a reflection of society and vice versa, because it also draws from, literally sometimes they say that, you know, there's an exaggeration in Indian cinema, but a lot of those situations depicted on celluloid are actually very, very close to reality. And as a filmmaker, I've only drawn from human observation, from observation of the community that surrounds me, the society we live in, the people I interact with. It's very critical that, you know, you understand the syntax of your surroundings, and then as a writer, as a filmmaker, you tell that story. Of course, some of us who've grown up in urban India have a certain understanding of those dynamics and relationships. And there are some others who are privileged enough to actually be exposed to the rest of India, can tell those stories with equal abandon. I do believe that the content today is definitely broadening the human spectrum where it comes to, I think, relationships and pushing the envelope and not sugarcoating it and not doing puff pieces of love and romance. We are showing the gray areas, and you have to know, as students, you have to know that life is way beyond black and white. We walk the path of gray every day, and that's not a bad thing, because you're actually, gray is a representation of your vulnerable side, of your true side. And I think whether it's OTT platforms, streaming services, or new age cinema, all of that actually exposes the vulnerabilities of human beings. And I think that's the strength of our content today. It's not about depicting dark characters and pushing the boundaries where it comes to showing things that are explicit. It's really actually about showing the grey. I've seen so many series actually that just speak about the grey. In cinema though, we like the larger than life, over the top, melodramatic storytelling, which also what audiences want when they go into a cinema hall. They don't want to see the harsh realities of life. They do want to see the celebration of life. Rocky or Rani ki prem kahani is way beyond just being a prem kahani. It actually speaks about so many things, which is not reflective in the promotions of the film or the content and the units that we put out there. It's actually talking about so much more. It's probably, I think, my most commentary-based film, but it's not in the garb of anything preachy. It's actually in the garb of entertainment, which is the best way I believe that you can actually express something, is actually coat it with entertainment and it gets better understood. Maverick filmmakers like Rajkumar Hirani have actually done that so beautifully, and this film is actually a step in that right direction. When you see the character of Rocky and Rani and their individual families, there's a lot to kind of absorb and learn, but also be very humored by. You know, it's a film that I was actually dying to tell, and sequences in the film will remain with me as my most favorite moments in my trajectory as a filmmaker.
Oh, so this is by far,
And what a huge honor it is for us to be a part of that. I mean, it's Karan Johar. He's the maker of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. Like, these are iconic films that we've grown up on. So for you to say that means a lot, Karan.
And I do believe that. And I also feel like I've grown as an individual from the first film to this, because when I remember I made Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, and I firmly believe that the gender politics of that film are all wrong. They're all wrong. It is propagating incorrect, gender politics, because it's about, there's a lot of surfaceness in that film. But of course you have nostalgia, so you love it. But you don't scratch the surface of the film and see that what Rahul is doing is actually not something that I wish the Rahuls in this audience, representing all the boys in this audience, would be.
Woke zamane mein nahi chalti kuch kuch.
It's not about the woke, it's about what the dynamics you show in cinema and how it is a strong representation of how it can translate into belief today. Rahul was like saying all wrong things. He was saying, "Hum ek hi baar jeete, ek baar marte." That's all everybody knows. Hum ek baar pyar karte, but he got in love twice. Hum ek baar shaadi karte, he got married twice. So he was contradicting himself through the film. And then I remember Shabana asked me,
"Don't you cancel my Rahul?"
yeah, there's that. That's what I was going to say. It was one of the best movies that you've seen.
No.
Yeah.
So the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
No, I think he means like if you were to release that
Yes.
today, a lot of those points would come across,
Yeah.
but I also look at it in a way that he said all those things, but he contradicted himself, and he had growth, which was also what you're talking about, great.
But I'm
That was so
talking-
current even at that time.
But I'm also talking about the growth that possibly my storytelling has taken, because today, my Rahul wouldn't be so surface about his choices, you know. I remember
But you
Shabana
made
being...
some really mature themes as well, like My Name is Khan,
Yes,
Mushkil, Mushkil.
that happened all later. That happened later. But I was like, I remember Shabana...
And then Student of the Year, like the deepest one
The
of them all.
deepest film, yes, yes. Absolutely spoke about... Student of the Year was my deepest cinematic piece of work. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I know we are saying this in humor, but it was deep of me to understand the genius of Alia Bhatt even then. I think my deepest contribution to Indian cinema has been the prolific Alia Bhatt. I mean, when I saw Gangubai, I was like, huh? I was like, how is she doing this? Who is this person? Who is this person? Who is this actor? When did she grow up? Like, when did, because I've seen her like my own child, like, and my parental instinct came when I got to know her. And I'm like, my daughter is like playing this incredible part with such abandon. And I mean, I was like, this is not thanks to me. This is something she's done on her own. I haven't taught her any of that. She actually went on her highway all on her own. And I think now, as directing her this time and directing both of them, and I think I've taken over from where Rishabh started and started monitoring this session. But I have to say this, that I worked with both these actors, and I couldn't annul the fact that I directed Alia before, because she was another actor. I didn't know her as the way she is today. I don't know that Alia Bhatt. I know this Alia Bhatt. I know this Ranveer Singh. And I had one comedian as an actor. Ranveer is nothing short of a comedian. He gets into the skin of the character in a way where you forget he's Ranveer Singh and start looking and believing that he's Rocky Randhawa. When you see the film, you will forget he's Ranveer Singh, just the way you forgot he was Ranveer Singh in '83, or Jayesh Bhai Jordar, or Bajirao Mastani, or Alauddin Khilji. One of my closest friends saw the film and said, I want to be Rocky's friend. And that is what the feeling, I hope that all of you get, that you hope that you have a Rocky in your group of friends. Both of these actors were feeding off each other's brilliance in a way that only a director can hope and imagine for. I was just sitting awestruck behind the monitor and hoping that, you know, the shot doesn't end, the take doesn't get over, because they just are something totally special. You saw a beat of that, or rather much more, a beat of their initial chemistry in Gully Boy. And there were 8 scenes they had together, and every time they came on, I was like, these are my favorite parts of Gully Boy. And I just, when I met them, and I was like, just give me a dose of that chemistry, and take over as Rocky and Rani, and we'll have our Prem Kahani.
Oh, nice, fantastic. And, you know, Karan should have moderated the session, I think. That would have been, that would have been beautiful, but the way you've covered the entire thing, and I want to just build on from that, because you beautifully brought out a few things which lead into my next question, which is, I've always felt, I did a little bit of theatre, could never reach where you all have reached, but I did a little bit of theatre, and I always felt that when you do theatre, when you act, it's like studying subjects, right? Like you're studying maths and history. There is no commonality between maths and history, but at the same point in time, there may be some parts of maths and some parts of history that may come together. Now, don't ask me how. Perhaps we can ask them how. But I want to ask you this. Is there a way that when you perform a particular role, like say for example, when you acted, like he rightly said, as Kabir Mehra, or when you perform Gangubai, do you bring on those to your new characters which are Rocky and Rani? Or is that a completely different subject, like how technically maths and history are completely different subjects? So is that the case? Or is there some thing that goes on from one character into the other?
Well, I think it's more like an exam. You know, the beats are more or less the same. You prepare for it, you study for it. This is my process personally. You do your homework, and then you learn everything, and hope that you absorb all of it. Because when the time comes, it should be retained in your system. When the exam date, which is the shoot date for us, comes up, you kind of revise everything that you studied. And then, you know, it's like show time is like game time for an athlete or exam time for a student. So the beats are very similar in that sense.
You know, I also feel like it depends on how you choose your characters and how you place your films. Because if you're doing, say, love story, love story, love story, then there's bound to be some trickle effect of those characters into each other. But if you do a love story, then you do a drama, then you do a comedy, then you do a thriller, you try and find people who are very different from each other so that they don't overlap into each other. So you get these words like chameleon, you get to say that, oh, she's or he's so versatile. At the end of the day, you want to be slipping into what are you doing?
Just distracting.
Okay.
Trying to focus on your answer. There is a lot to learn from you as an actor.
But now I forgot what I was saying. Basically, you understood, na? Ki alag hona
What
chahiye.
is your, how are you in maths?
How was I in maths? See, they are already laughing because they are like, ye to matlab, ye to
It's rather presumptuous of you guys.
No, actually, honestly, guys, I was not bad till a certain grade.
Okay.
Then I decided, okay, I'm not dissing maths. Maths is great because, but if you need it in your profession, then you should focus. Then I decided, but ये तो चाहिए ही नहीं. तो मैं क्यों इतना focus करूँ? Why am I working so hard? There was a competitive spirit within me which needed to kind of do it. But I didn't drop maths. I had the option of dropping it. I didn't drop it.
This is maths is rubbish. You don't need it in life. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
But there may be some students working hard at maths and you just know that they don't need it in life. Poor things, they're going to feel so sad and confused.
Trigonometry, algorithm, chala, yaar, chala.
All of you don't like maths? Make some noise.
You know actually where maths helps you. It's not the numbers and the calculation and the formula that you need to be quick with forming. It helps you in your day-to-day life to be able to think on your feet and to be able to make most with what you have and make दो का दो चार चार उसमें मिलकर के A into B into C into R whatever. You know. But the point is, it should prepare you for life. And I feel there should be a whole separate subject which is dealing with life.
Oh, Costa, Theta, ये वो आज तक मैंने use नहीं किया.
See, they're doing it. I'm
I'm
not
not
doing it.
missing maths, huh? I'll just let it go.
Oh, the math god will be so upset.
They may,
with me.
But Ranveer,
Option, मेरे ज़माने में option क्यों नहीं था यार drop करने का? आजकल के बच्चे लोग को.
Ranveer, is there a subject that you didn't like? आपको पसंद नहीं था?
Which one do you think, sir? Which one do you think?
Which one do you guys think that you didn't like?
Mathematics. Yeah. मतलब मैं तो 5वीं में 5 बार fail.
I didn't like science. I used to cry in my exam.
But there are 3 prongs in science. There's chemistry, biology, and
The
physics.
bio I loved. Chem we have. Physics मेरे को कुछ समझ नहीं आया क्या बोलते हैं कुछ समझ नहीं आया.
Mind that doesn't appreciate or understand math and is invariably you're not going to like physics. It's the same.
I just didn't understand physics.
No, I don't like.
But when I look at my daughter, I say, तू तो scientist बनेगी. Because I couldn't be a scientist.
But this by far was a part of the discussion which all of them related to. I think majority of them related to, even I related to, saying mathematics was not the strongest suit. But Karan, before I move on to the next one, I must ask you and bring you in as well. If you had to say that there was one subject that was your least favorite subject, which one would it be?
Karan is a topper.
So all subjects are.
A 90+ student, ladies and gentlemen. Karan Johar is a 90+ student.
Yes. So that happened much later on in college where I actually topped the state in my BCom. And my principal, Mrs. Indu Shani, called me in and said that the Bajaj, kind of Institute of Management is offering you a seat to do, your further studies after my BCom. And I was like, no, but I want to make movies. And she looked at me and she said, then why did you study so hard? So I was like, oh, that was the reputation then of like people entering the movies. But to go back to my ICS examination, I had the strangest report card. In fact, the board wrote to my school and said that can this child ask for a recount? Because I had 90, 92, 90, 90, 90, 45.
45.
And no prizes for guessing what that 45 was. So the thing with me and maths was that I had a very anxious relationship with mathematics. Because as soon as the paper came in front of me, I would draw a blank. In those days, we had two math papers, Maths 1 and Maths 2. In Math 1,
Yes.
in Math 1 was arithmetic primarily, and in arithmetic, I never understood anything. So I left out 40 marks in paper 1, and I think the rest of the 60, I must have got 20 right. At the break, we had 3 hours of a break between the two papers. I had a meltdown, like I collapsed in front of my teacher and I said, I don't want to do maths too. And she kept saying, you cannot behave like this. And I was just saying, I can't do, I'll fail anyway, I can't do it, I can't do it. Somehow the other, my mother gave me some motivational lecture on the phone, and then I went and ate 2 large anniversary Cadbury bars. Because that's how I dealt with anxiety. It was chocolate. Not that I propagated, please don't. But I ate 2 bars, and it became like spinach to Popeye. And like I went on, and I fought it like a war. And obviously when they asked me, do you want to do a recount? I'm like, no, I passed. I got 45. Please, don't change these marks or anything. But it just didn't work around. But you know the thing with ambition, and the thing with really proving that you can do something that you are weak and vulnerable about. I remember in F5 BCom, mathematics in commerce was compulsory back then. I was in HR college and I had to do mathematics, and it came back into my life in first year senior college. And I was like, this time I'm going to fight you. This time you're not going to let me kind of get bogged down by you. So I went to Mr. Saldana, who actually had these classes. I went there diligently and I got an 81 in
Wow.
Karan Johar.
It was not about the 81. It was about fighting your demons. And that's what I want to tell everyone out there. You will all have your vulnerabilities. You will all have your weaknesses. You can't just consider them weaknesses. You've got to convert them into your strengths. Because that is what will make you a world leader in any capacity.
So overcome those weaknesses from 45 to 81, and from 81 to now, millions of people who are watching these movies across. I think you've mastered maths much better than many people have.
I still don't get budgets and monies, but right now, I mean, now the time is for passion and not for like the money aspect of things.
No, but you've mastered the art of getting millions to the theaters, and that is the maths that you mastered, and I think that's something that very few people have.
But that's emotional mathematics, and that we all have.
Well, he's very humble. The remaining subjects were 90.
Yeah.
The remaining subjects were 90, which he very casually mentioned, saying I got 92, 94, so and so. And there was only one subject that had 45. And from 45, he got that subject also to 81. So I think the real student of the year, or the students of the decade or decades, is Karan Johar.
But you know, in Student of the Year, the one thing that we really missed out on projecting was the student aspect, because no one was really studying in that college for some reason. And I was like, they were cycling and they were in a triathlon, but like I was like, where were they actually studying? Someone asked me this question. I was like, yeah, I missed that beat. You know, it was like not something I'm really proud of, but like we did okay. We have Alia Bhatt, like I said, we did okay.
You did more than okay.
Maths की marks की बात हो रही है. So I would like to ask Alia, what is the lowest you've ever gotten in an exam?
8.
Nice. 8 on?
I don't know.
20,
I just
50,
remember it was
100.
number 8. I think it was not 8 on 10, obviously, that would be high. Must have been 8 on something. It was 8 physics, I tried, like I failed that something. On 10 it was. 8 on 80? ऐसा कुछ होगा पर मैंने
8 on 80 कोई नहीं होता, 8 on 50 होता है, 100 होता है.
80 भी होता है.
I just remember it was 8. It was very sad, and also I'm going to say something I'm not going to say.
Okay.
Just make
Karan,
it for
Karan, lowest ever?
Mathematics 22
On?
on 100.
Okay.
24, 28. My prelims I was 32. I had a teacher called Mr. Sebastian, and he did the Navina for me. 9 Wednesdays. In 9 Wednesdays, he went to the church in Mahim because he said, "I've never had a student that will fail, and you will be my first." So he did 9 Wednesdays. He went and did the Navina for me. I still remember. And when he came to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, "You got 45." I said, "Yes," and we hugged each other emotionally that we did it. Like that was how low he thought of me in that subject.
You've been asking
आप बताएं.
the lowest. Lowest I scored was I think 14 on 50.
Okay,
Very
that's pretty low.
And
I think mine also must have been 58 on.
and this was
Anybody in the audience have a candidate for record for lowest ever in an examination? Yes, जनाब, वो आप तो उतावले हो रहे हैं बताने के लिए बताएं. इतनी excitement अपने failure को report करने के लिए बताएं.
You learn more from your failures than you do with your successes, by the way.
Oh.
No one should be scared of failing.
2 out of 100.
We have a 2 out of 100 going once, going twice.
And the winner is.
Lower.
And the winner is.
No, the
Which
winner.
subject?
Excuse, madam.
Maths.
Excuse, madam. मैं भी हूँ इस game में. By the way, don't declare the winner just
Oh,
yet.
sorry.
Okay, 2 on 100. Anybody
2 on
lower?
100
Anybody lower? Wow. इतने excitement के साथ बता रहे थे कि देखो हम fail हो गए. आप बताओ यार.